Recently, I saw a video where a guy talked about how he feels like he wasted his teenage years. Now, I didn't watch the full video, I really only saw the title of it. But it still got me thinking because I'm 19 now, which is basically the last quote unquote teen year. I don't even know if most people really consider it a teen year just because, like, at this point, you're pretty much an adult. You already have been an adult since you were 18, you've already finished your first year of college usually. I know I have. And it's just like kind of a mindset that resonated with me. Because when I've done a little bit of introspection on this topic, I realized that I kind of share the same sentiment as that guy. Where even though technically on paper my teen years haven't ended yet, I still feel like I wasted them. I mean, from the ages of 13 to 14, the very first teen years for me were spent in the pandemic during COVID-19, during lockdown. And I mean, those were fun, right? Because every day I just had e-learning online school. I didn't learn shit in my classes, uh, but I also had a lot of free time. I was able to play hella Minecraft, and I also had a routine with some of my closest friends where pretty much every single day during the weekend I would bike over to their neighborhood and we would just hang out because they had this massive pond in the middle of their neighborhood, and we would just hang out at this like little gazebo, chill, talk, have a lot of fun. We just kind of had our own little world. And even though it wasn't ideal by any means, it was still comfortable. And I think at some point I got a little bit too comfortable with staying in my comfort zone. Because as soon as high school, like in-person high school started up again, my freshman year of high school, we actually were in person, although it was very weird because everyone had masks on, and we had to change up a lot of things in order to accommodate, I guess, just like new regulations regarding COVID-19. I don't know, it was just a very weird time, and I also think staying home for so long and not really interacting with anyone aside from my closest friends every day, on the one hand, I want to believe that it stunted my social growth a little bit, but I think the main problem was that this kind of familiarity with my comfort zone was really what stunted my growth later on. Because in high school, I pretty much only kept to my close friend circle. I didn't really talk to anyone else. I never really went to like school events, didn't have any school spirit, didn't really care for anyone aside from, the people that I was really, really close with, and a lot of them I had already known for years. Like, these are friends that I've known, some of them even from freaking like preschool. And I didn't really make any new friends in high school, just because I think at some point I thought to myself, I don't need to really meet new people. I'm in an environment where nothing is really pushing me to really go out and seek new relationships. And I remember before senior year, when my friends and I were all applying to colleges, I remember one of them made a joke about how I was gonna be so socially cooked in college. Because the thing with my friends is that, like, I think I was kind of uniquely antisocial amongst them. Like, most of them were like, they knew other people in our grade, and that's not to say that I didn't like know other people in my school year. I just never really bothered to even talk to any of them. And I shared these worries with them. I thought I was gonna be very cooked socially after I went to college, just because like I didn't know anyone. I was kind of scared on, how I was going to make new friends, all that stuff, just because I was really, really bad at talking to new people throughout high school, which is kind of ironic because, like, I prided myself on my ability to do public speaking, but I was just so bad at it, like, making conversation, actually functioning like a human outside of like an academic or whatever environment. And I remember before senior year, I told myself I would try to make more of an effort to actually get to know like different people better, and I did on some level. I mean, part of it is like I low-key got inspired by one of my friends who was also kind of similar to me. He's probably watching his video right now, but I remember, I think it was even earlier this year, like junior year, he started actually talking to more people and actually started getting to know people. Now, I'm not saying that like I wasn't able to attain the same amount of success with this as he was, just because I think at some level I was still kind of just, I think scared is the right word to use. I was scared of like going out of my comfort zone, just because I had had the same friend group since I was pretty much in as early as elementary school, maybe as late as middle school, like 7th or 8th grade. So I got too comfortable with being comfortable. I think that's the point that I'm trying to make. And it really fucked me over for a big portion of my teen years. And that's not to say that like your teen years are all about things like social interactions or, you know, meeting new people, but I think it's a very, very fundamental part of your lived experience. And I mean, I tried to like max out everything else. Like I tried maxing out, you know, like fucking academics, whatever. Well, not really academics, but like extracurriculars, doing other shit. And like I still turned out okay. I wasn't, you know, I'm not like a fucking lost cause in terms of social interactions. Like during college, um, on the one hand, I did get kind of lucky because I found a great friend group very quickly, almost by sheer luck. But also, like, I've been doing fine. Like, I interact with people. I mean, this sounds like such, like, chud language, but I can talk to people very fine. People like talking to me. I like talking to other people. And I think what this has made me realize is just how much I wasted away so many years of my teen years. Because I'm not I don't really keep in contact with anyone from high school aside from my close friend circle or like other friends that I was able to make before high school, but like weren't part of my close friend circle. If that makes sense. Like even after all the changes I told myself I would try to make during my senior year of high school, where you know originally I told myself like, oh, you know, I don't need other people, I'm too busy to meet other people, yada yada yada. And then when I finally tried to make an effort to change in senior year, the best I could really come up with was just becoming acquaintances with people, because making close relationships or just like notable relationships takes time, and that's something that I had already ran out of. It's something that I had wasted away for a big part of my teen years, and I didn't really experience this actual change until I was 18, the second to last year that I was a teenager. And I just feel like because of this mindset of being too comfortable, holy shit, I actually can't do this right now. What is wrong with me? This jump. This is literally just like a Neo, no? Fuck it. Anyways, I feel like I've missed out on a lot of the experiences that make your teenage years so great. Like, I didn't go to prom until my senior year. I actually I remember while everyone else was going to prom and, like, taking cool photos, all that stuff, I was practicing tennis. Which, yeah, not the best trade-off looking back. But I also didn't even go to things like homecoming. I didn't go to a football game. I think I went to one during my entire 4 years of high school, and I don't know. Like, I remember I also left early, which is, yeah, but it's whatever. And I also just didn't really participate in any of the things that make a community great, if that makes sense. Like, my high school every year does a musical, which is one of the highlights of the year for us, and I never went to them. Not even senior year, because I honestly don't even remember why I didn't go. Yeah, but I also just like, just missed out on a lot of experiences that I think a lot of people look fondly back. Like, I guess you could say experiences for a lifetime or memories for a lifetime. And I think the more I think about it, I don't think it's necessarily that I regret not partaking in these experiences. I think that's more the fact that I regret having a mindset that prevented me from taking part in these things, because I think I got a little bit lucky that college, going to another college outside of my home state, outside of my hometown, where I don't know anyone, has forced me to adapt. And I've talked a lot about how I'm someone who needs some type of motivation in the short term to do things, which is something that I'm also working on trying to change. This was motivation, like actually having a friend group and not having an absolutely fucking terrible experience. That by itself is a very, very powerful motivation, and that forced me to change, and forced me to change for the better. Like, I remember before my first year of college, I went to South Korea, and just actually not even just South Korea, but like pretty much uh, six different countries. And I remember in Asia, I bought like a ton of new clothing, because in high school, my wardrobe was pretty much just hoodies and like Nike Tech athletic pants and tennis shoes that looked fucking god awful in any type of environment other than a tennis court. So like I also in Korea, I finally started taking care of my skin, which is extremely awful, because like I was born with a condition that makes my skin exceptionally dry, so it just always looked terrible until I actually started using lotion. And like my friends would tell me all the time in high school to use lotion. I'd never listen to them, and then I started using it and I was like, wow, this is great. Why didn't I start doing this before? And I think that experience of like, wow, this thing is so great, why didn't I start doing it before? I feel like I've gone through a lot of that, a lot of those in the past year, really. Bounce twice? What the fuck? And I just like, what the hell? I just think that, sorry, I'm like mincing my words right now because I'm trying to actually figure out how to beat this parkour. I think on some level, where am I going with this? I don't know. I think I had a clear goal when I was making this video before I started recording, which is honestly pretty unique for me, but now that I'm actually like sitting here and talking, I'm like forgetting what I really wanted to say. But I just think that at some level, it's important to adopt this mindset of accepting and, well, not just accepting change, but seeking change, seeking the feeling of being uncomfortable. I think that's something that I really wish I had early on in my life, and I feel grateful that I'm not too late to the party, if that makes sense. Like, I know a lot of people talk about wasting away their 20s, and right now I'm in a position where, like, now that I've adopted all these mindset changes, I am set up to do very well in my 20s. Right? I think being able to say, oh, I only wasted away my teen years before you really have the freedom to do a lot of cool shit. I think I'm in a very privileged position to be able to say that, as opposed to I wasted away my 20s, which for a lot of people really is the real prime of your life, both physically but also just like in terms of what you have the power and ability to do. because I know for sure if I went to college in my home state and still kept the same friend group I had from high school, I definitely would not have changed nearly to the extent that I have now. I know when I visited home again for breaks, winter break, summer break, I met a few people, which I think I've mentioned this in a different video, but like nobody watches those. So I mentioned before that some acquaintances that I have looked at me, interacted with me, and were like, wow, you seem like a totally different person than you were the last time I saw you. And that makes me happy because I know for sure I've become way more social, way more accepting of putting myself in these types of uncomfortable situations because I know they're gonna lead to me growing as a person, growing as a leader, growing as just a human being in all facets of my life. And I think that's very important and very beneficial to living a rich life. Being able to accept these types of changes and being comfortable with being uncomfortable, as ironic as that may sound. And that's not to say that I've perfected the craft or whatever, because I'm definitely still not as like outgoing or as extroverted as a lot of people I know. But I think just being able to take that first step is really the hardest. It's like the same as like, I don't know, compounding money, where people like it's a lot harder. The hardest part is making your first million or whatever the fuck. I don't even know if that's a real phrasing. I think I've heard that somewhere, but I could be tripping. But I think the same principle applies here. It's much harder to force yourself to take that first step, and after that, once you realize how easy it is to keep taking more steps, like it just kind of comes naturally after a little bit. So I think the lesson I really want to impart here is to seek uncomfortable situations, because I mean I started this video off by talking about how I feel like I've wasted away my teen years, but I think that waste itself has taught me a lesson that is so much more fundamental and important to me than anything else I could have experienced during that period of what, 4 or 5 years, because 4 to 5 years is such a small part of your life. But now I have the rest of my, I don't know, 70, 80 years left, and I think anyone would be willing to throw away 4 to 5 years of their life if it meant that the remaining 80 years of it, whoa, are going to be much greater. So yeah, I think then, in that sense, I haven't really wasted away my teen years. I've wasted them away, yes, in the sense that I didn't make the memories that, people gush over. But at the same time, the quote-unquote waste has taught me so much about how to change your mindset in order to live a much richer life throughout the rest of your life. And just being able to take that first step, I think in the end, just because you've wasted something in one sense doesn't mean that you've wasted it altogether in every single sense. That's probably the most important thing. But yeah, I mean, that's really all I have to say on the topic. Obviously, I don't know how the rest of my life is going to play out. I'm still extremely young, and I'm still very lucky that I've been able to learn this in the first 19 years of my life, rather than waiting until I was, God forbid, 30, 40, maybe even 50 before I realized this, after having already lived half of my life and it being extremely monotone and extremely, just like crappy, for lack of a better term. So yeah, that's really all I have to say, though. I think I've wrapped up all the thoughts I wanted, and now I'm just kind of filling in words like I'm trying to write an essay, and I don't know how to fill up the word count, so I'm just going to end the video off here. I hope you have a great rest of your day, or rest of your night, whenever you're watching this, if you're watching this, which I don't know if anyone else will, but yeah.